obviously in the second half, which we haven't even spoken about, it seemed to be it was a feature
all the ball players struggled to keep a hold of it in the second half, didn't they? Like, the best thing Dan Barba did in the whole game was when he made that break out wide and then he went to put a kick through and missed it. Into the second half then. The first interesting part of the second half was a mistake from the Saints, it seemed like, when then David Mead was able to pick up the ball and go in and score. But it turned out Sammy Solange had taken the guy's head. I thought Lange was offside anyway from the kick. So I thought that was it anyway. And then he took the guy high who was on the floor. I can't remember who it was. It might have been...
Was it Dan Richardson?
No, I think it was Matty Lees maybe. I'm not sure who it was. But anyway, he took the Saints player high so it was rightly ruled out from both counts. I don't know if it was ever cleared up whether he was onside or not, but I was convinced he was offside from the kick, because it was a broken play by Catalan. And actually, although they'd extended the lead with another penalty, they did seem like Saints had something going physically, and then they scored the try through Mark Percival, weren't they? Which was actually a really good play. The hole opened up massively. He's so good at hitting a hole. And it was the first time in the game that either centre for Saints wasn't just crabbing across the field, trying to find a hole with no runners. And you've not seen that all year. Like, you've not seen a defence be able to be so disciplined when one of the Saints players like Makinson and Percival have crabbed across the field. Normally there's someone else there that you have to account for, that a space opens up for these guys, but it just didn't happen in this game, did it?
No, it didn't.
Even though they scored the try, and then they did get on a roll when LMS scored his try. Every carry that Saints were making, Thompson was making 10 yards plus, and then the next four was making 10 yards plus, and it did feel like there was a chance, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I thought they were. I thought they were coming back into it. There was, and I thought it was going to be one of those games where Saints just. Obviously, I'd seen all the Catalans tries in the first half on the opposite side of the pitch, and the Saints were going to do the same. I think Danny Richardson had missed the conversion as well. Wheeling back a bit. Did he miss it from?
He missed it for Percival's try.
And that was a big thing. I thought they got the try finally, and then that's when they needed Danny Rich to actually come and sort of make it 6. Just to sort of like start ticking the scoreboard over, and he missed it. And it's psychologically
quietly,
it's quite
but
tough.
Danny Richardson's conversion percentage isn't that great. He might have scored the most goals in Super League this year. He's also quite comfortably missed the most goals in Super League this year on an individual basis. Obviously, the Warrington club have missed more goals overall,
although not this week.
No, exactly what you were saying, and I think as well that was when Saints, it showed that something wasn't right, because they were starting to impose themselves physically, but the halfbacks were making mistakes. There was one in particular where I think Richardson kind of was looking for something else, and he sort of double clutched the ball out in front of him and knocked on. And that was kind of the theme then. So when they did seem to be physically in the battle, heads of those forwards were going to drop because they weren't taking advantage enough with some of the mistakes they made. And then Sam Moa powered over
which was amazing, like right in front of where we were. And that was when So obviously during this whole game, the Warrington end had been filling up. I think people from outside probably could get a sense that something was happening in the stadium, and we were all spotting Catalans, as you'd expect. So that actually Catalans were I think they were getting a lot out of it. They were sort of treating us like we were their fans, and they scored that try, and they were all sort of cheering with, as we were cheering, and it was like a really good moment, and that just felt like that was it. That that was it. There was no coming back from that point, was there? It was no,
exactly. That was when I got up and went to the concession stand, and I missed Mark Percival's second try. So I'm not really sure what happened there. Oh, I saw it. I watched it back later on the highlights, and he kind of crashed over and got it. But it was definitely consolation at that stage. So, what do we think about this whole chat then? Let's talk about it. Catalans No one's going to go. What's the point of even having them in the competition? What value do they have to competition when they're not going to sell out and end at Wembley?
Yeah, I think that's your natural reaction, and the natural reaction probably, I would imagine, of the RFL would have been, oh shit,
they're instigating Plan
B. Yeah. Well, because their plan A was to obviously get St Helens fans down to market the shit out of it, because Barba's the best thing since sliced bread, and New London people are going to turn up to watch a superstar, and you have that as their sort of marketing tactic, and they've obviously got that all in place. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't have that all ready to go. And they've now got to sort of try and work out how they're going to get however many thousands of fans up from sort of Perpignan, and there's no reason why they wouldn't come. It's London. It's not. It's an accessible place.
Well, they can get a train, can't they?
Yeah. Well, they can get anything. One of the world's greatest cities. You can get to London relatively cheaply, I would imagine. There's a lot of competition for flights into London, and for that you'd have thought. It's
a lot of the talk, though, is like when they were in the Challenge Cup final before. The only reason it was so full is because it was the first Challenge Cup final in New Wembley, so there was a lot of curiosity from floating fans who wanted to go back down to Wembley. I don't have a sense of how many Catalans actually took to that final in 2007, so it's hard. I can't think back and remember. I actually think I was so pissed off after the semi-final that year that I didn't watch the final. I'm not gonna lie, but
it's kind of before my time, that, so I don't really have any knowledge. But I mean, certainly the semi-final, there were Catalans fans in that stadium. There weren't a lot, but some had made the trip. But they're going to be the neutrals team, aren't they? Why not turn up to watch? It's about the event. It's about being at the Challenge Cup final. Challenge Cup final is something to go to. It's for the community clubs and for all the clubs to sort of get down there, and everybody other than the Warrington fans should probably be supporting Catalans.
That's got to be one of the angles the RFL turned to on Plan B, isn't it? Getting into those community clubs and reminding them of the discounted ticket offers that all these community clubs a lot of community clubs get, and that sort of stuff, to make sure that they fill their end of the bargain, almost. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be there either way, and
so I got Club Wembley tickets, so I got them. I was going regardless. So it's just lucky that I'm going to get to it's lucky, but then I do enjoy watching the game as a neutral as well in these games, because it's bloody. It sort of.
I certainly think I wasn't disappointed by this game in any way, shape, or form. I know as a Wigan fan, I went into it wanting Catalan to win because, one, they were playing Saints, two, Macklemore, to a slightly lesser extent, but Lewis Tierney as well. So some Wigan ex-players in there. There was something there for me to root for. Yeah. By the time Sam Moa went and scored, I was genuinely involved as a Catalan fan in this game. So I feel like no jousting here with you, but I feel like I'm gonna be the same at Wembley.
and everybody who's not invested in Primrose and Blue is going to be a Catalan. And it was the same. It was the same when it was Hull against Warrington, a few years ago. For everybody, all the neutrals were supporting
that was
Hull.
Because Hull hadn't won.
Same. So Warrington, even though it's never our year, so it's from my perspective, it's like, why wouldn't you support us? We never win anything. That's
actually one of the things I was sort of thinking about the crowd dynamic and stuff for Wembley. I think it'd be a lot easier to root for Catalan if they were playing against Leeds, or if they were playing against Saints or Wigan, because there's a sense that those teams win everything. Those teams are the ones that all the neutrals hate by default. There's not even a question mark about it, is there? Yeah. But so that'll be interesting. But I do think there's anyone who's already got tickets shouldn't be upset about the Catalans getting there. It's up to us to help create that atmosphere to do what the Warrington fans did on Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot. you get a lot of pleasure out of that as well. I've never really been in that position before where I've like rooted for another team just because they're playing a team that I've got a rivalry, and I've never really sort of been in that position before.
I've never necessarily done it that way, but I've done it where I've been sat with fans of a team at a neutral game, and I've kind of been carried along in that spirit. So the best example is probably a couple of the Summer Bash events sat with London fans. Because like with Paul Campbell and people like that, kind of, I got into the atmosphere with them and was, chanting for London by the end of those games, sort of thing. And I didn't necessarily have a strong association or affiliation with the club, but got carried away in the atmosphere and had a good time on that. So I'm sure
you get a lot out of it, though, don't you? You kind of get it feels nice. It feels like a good thing to. And when you
it doesn't matter when you lose either. When that team loses, because it's not you losing.
No, and that but like sat there with all those Warrington fans and all of us like collectively singing Catalan songs and sort of and cheering them along and sort of and cheering with them, and they all came over and clapped us at the end, and sort of like it was it felt really like a I don't know, it just felt
There's
great.
a lot of goodwill between the two sides, considering they're going to be facing off against each other this Friday. That's interesting, isn't it?
But I would have, it had Leeds got through against Warrington, I would have bought myself a Catalan shirt and gone down and supported them, because that's I'm all about supporting the event.
Definitely
is my take on it.
Well, we'll move on to the second game now, the game that you'll have a lot to say on. But just before we do, it's kind of like a link between the two games. One of my favourite memories of the day will be forever the when Leeds took a 6-2 lead when Ryan Hall scored his try, and the Saints fans started singing or like goading the Wire fans. So the Wire fans broke out into a Catalan. Which was just fantastic. It was a great retort, weren't it? So we'll move on to that game. An absolute pounding delivered by the Warrington Wolves. It finished 48 points to 12 in their favour over the Leeds Rhinos. Chris Kendall was the referee. It was 26-6 at half time, so you could argue again another game that was over at half time, and another game where you'd seen all the tries go down the other end of the field, so you were probably quite glad that the scoring wasn't quite over in this one. We'll start with the fan reviews. Do you want to take us through the first one of those that we got? We've had a few crafty ones in on this game.
So the first one is from Dr. Bob Phillips. This lets us concentrate on not getting relegated, and we didn't quite embarrass ourselves. But Wire were far better than us, faster, more inventive, better movement of the ball, and generally hungrier.
Uncle Gary. I don't think it was him, but we ran into him. We saw him at the women's games as well. He was,
saw that picture.
Rob made sure he had a picture. I'm sure we'll get to that later on in the review of the women's games. But Uncle Gary said, "Well, all that money I bunged the RFL to get championship teams and Widnes in the early rounds was wasted. In hindsight, I should have saved that money for a qualified coach. Has anyone got Leigh Whitnall's number?"
Jimmy Lowe's, again, I'm not convinced. Said, "I haven't got a fucking clue what I'm doing."
Kevin, I'm not the coach, Sinfield, also got in touch. He said, "Jimmy Lowe's hasn't got a fucking clue what he's doing."
Brian McDermott, he's been in touch, said Sinfield and Lowe's haven't got a fucking clue what they are doing. Wouldn't have happened on my watch. I know who I'd rather coach.
I have a feeling who that might have been. Rich Langley, though, he said, "As a neutral, am I allowed to say that this game was not much of a spectacle? Good tries and overall play, but no sense of jeopardy once we knew the Wolves had the game in the bag. Can't take it away from Warrington. They played well, but Leeds will want to shore up going into the eights, even though they'll probably breeze them regardless."
Tim G Radio, hashtag Leeds Slump 2018, hashtag Leeds in Crisis, hashtag Endangered Rhinos, hashtag Sinfield out. Should they ask the women's team for some coaching sessions? Well, their coaches on the pitch, isn't
That's it. They should have just told him to put his whistle back on and stand on the sidelines. He might have done better in that role than he did on the field as it went. Sarah said, "I don't know whether it was simply after seeing a whitewash in the first match or what, but I found this quite dull. Leeds initially looked like they were going to make a match of it, but then it was all one-way traffic. At times it looked like men against boys. A couple